a sponsored segment for them. They are an indie TCG that's currently in beta. Their current beta client is accessible in the web browser, fatalcoretcg.com. They're eventually going to have an installable client via Steam. The client itself has some rough edges because it's a smaller project and it's still pretty early. I expect them to clean up some of those as the project develops more. But the core gameplay loop is super reasonable and very unique. I've been playing a bit of it. Let's do Prisoner 218 today, huh? So, how the gameplay works. So, I'm doing a bot match to start so we don't waste anyone's time while I take a little bit of extra time to talk through some of the basics of the gameplay. The mulligans in this game are all or none at the start. Your decks are 18 cards and your starting hand is 6 cards. You have an Alchemist Coffin to start, so that seems good. So I'm going to keep this hand. Now, one of the things that's very unique about the gameplay in this is that a lot of the information when you play in Fatal Core is face up. So of my 6 starting cards here, I pick 2 of them to hide, and then I click go, and you'll see here at my opponent on the right side of the board, 4 of their 6 cards are face up as well to start. And the information being public plays really nicely with the turns in this game because the turns in this game are simultaneous. So each turn, each player plays exactly 1 card. There's no resource system. It's just 1 card per turn. And if you play a unit, you deploy it to one of the 6 spots on your board. Each player has a lead for their deck, and the leads dictate what the different spaces on your boards do. So for example, my opponent's board has some spaces that give +1/+1 or minuses like mine, and my board has one that has a special base space that gives whatever unit I play here an ability called Mana Magnet, which basically makes it a counterspell. I'm going to deploy this Alchemist Coffin to start in this spot here. Every single turn, this does 2 to one of my things. And then this kills itself and deploys a test subject. Normally, it makes a couple of test subjects, but my opponents had a unit that hit theirs. When my thing died here to taking damage, it left a corpse behind, and corpses are kind of a resource you have to manage. As long as there's a corpse in one of your spaces, you cannot deploy other units to that space. I'm going to go ahead and play the Matron. This makes my test subjects bigger. So this deck that we're playing is kind of a synergy-based deck around the test subject cards that get created. And the test subject card starts with a lot of toughness, and every turn it damages something on my opponent's side of the board and makes itself larger. So the way combat in this game works is you'll note that we each have a life total at the top, and as opposed to units attacking other units directly, or one person declaring blockers, the attackers, the other person declaring blockers, your units each deal damage equal to their attack directly to the opponent's life total every single turn. And then there are certain units that have effects like these test subjects, for example, or their reviled alchemist that deal damage each turn to the opponent's board. So as opposed to your units directly interacting with their units being the default, it's like the exception as opposed to the rule. We're going to go ahead and just Merciless Lashing here to try and catch back up on the board. My opponent's board is pretty far ahead. They drew a Mana Magnet card, which lets them counter my spell, unfortunately. So one of the things that's kind of tough about this game is because you only get one action per turn. Once you get behind, the games can snowball a little bit. So I'm not really sure that we're going to have tools in order to catch back up here. This deals 2 damage and 3 damage to stuff on my board each turn. This deals damage to stuff on my board. This deals damage to something on my board. Anything I play is just going to go into a meat grinder, basically. Yeah. The game board being laid out left to right takes some getting used to. It's very different for most card games that are usually top to bottom. I kind of dig it. It uses the game space a little bit more efficiently. Like Runeterra, Hearthstone, and Magic, they all have like dead space on the left and right on either side of their client. So the fact that they're like trying to show hand space up in this game consistently lets you use your screen real estate fully with it being laid out left to right. Raise target test subject on your board. Summon 2 test subjects in spaces. This creates a test subject. This seems okay. I'm going to hide some of my interaction here, as well as the Gruesome Legion. The Gruesome Legion has the slow mechanic, which means you can't play it till turn 5, so hiding it so my opponent doesn't know it's coming seems ideal. Playing a debased manifestation deck here with Earthspeaker. We played something similar to this on stream last week. Oh, this is slow 3. I was like, why is it buzzing at me? It's slow 3. Alright, I think we just open on Gruesome Experiment here. So that takes 2. We get a test subject. This is going to make a copy of itself at end of turn. But it also takes 2 from our test subject, so that's nice. I'm going to go ahead and play the Alchemist Coffin out here. I think I'm going to deploy it in my Mana Magnet slot. So hopefully this makes us a test subject if we have 3 or fewer units. So it'll make 1 test subject, then hopefully it'll hang out and Mana Magnet something down the line. Brian Hilder, thank you for the 5 months of Prime support. I really appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Alright, so Replicate basically splits a test subject and it lets me redraw 2, which is nice. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that here. And then I get to redraw 2 of my cards. They don't have any hunters out, so they want to do the Merciless Beast and the Prince. Then we have to wait for the opponent to choose their play, because again, we each play 1 card per turn simultaneously. If they elect to play any spells, they get to get countered by that. So this splits this test subject into 2 more and makes them all a little bit bigger. This does 2 to one of my things, so they have 1 corpse. They attack each other. They dealt 13, I dealt 6. Nice. Ended up killing that is good for us. At the end of every turn, these deal 2 to one of my opponent's things. And then make themselves a little bit bigger. Opponent does not have any mana magnets revealed. This could theoretically be a mana magnet. I think I'm going to go ahead and Merciless Lashing here. This deals 3 damage 3 times. So that, in conjunction with my test subjects, should clear out a lot of their board. This makes one of their things +2/+2. Wait on the opponent to decide on a play here. I don't have anything with Hunt, so this isn't particularly good against us. I guess deploying it here gives them a 5/7, which is not bad. Their opponent is winning the race currently, so it's currently 58-72. Yeah, they're just going to try and get ahead in the race. So 13 versus 15 there. The problem is I'm losing a couple of my test subjects this turn. Think I'm just scattershotting here in a hopeful attempt to kill my opponent's board out. So they're playing a spell finally, which will trigger my mana magnet. And then this is going to deal 1 a bunch of times, which killed that. And then I am taking a 9-ball here. So I'm super behind on life at the moment, but I get to kill their thing, which is nice. Then my opponent's entire board is corpses. So, unless... Well, I guess they could technically Haunt here to clean corpses out. I'm gonna play Lost Tech here to try and keep them from clearing out their board. I think I want to just keep deploying units here, basically. Because if I keep them off of their ability to clean out these corpses, they're in a bad spot. Alright, so we can start catching back up here now. Our ability to mana magnet them has basically locked them out of making plays. I think we get to deploy the Void Cursed here now. Oh, you know what? I knew they had the Incendiary stream. I probably should have deployed this up here, knowing that that was coming. Because it does damage across an entire row. Yeah, just packs it in. Yeah, the Prisoner 218's always having a mana magnet available is pretty punishing. It's something that you kind of have to think ahead on when you're on the opposing side of the board. Otherwise, it can lock you out like we ended up doing there. Prisoner 218 having a prison style deck gameplay is fairly appropriate. Man, we just have a ton of removal here, huh? I think I'm gonna hide the Void Curse so they don't know that's coming. This is slow 8, so it'll come down late and really beat them up. I think I'm gonna hide the Bound Siren, because I'm probably gonna play that out first. They might also lead on Bound Siren here. Bound Siren has a mechanic called Hunt, which means if your opponent has units in play, it attacks their units instead of their health total directly, which is nice. Although maybe I should have started Bound Siren here. I positioned it here. It's probably not ideal. Although I guess this works out. These will end up trading next turn. I'm gonna drop Callous Mage down here in the Mana Magnet slot to head off any of their spells at the pass. Wow, that's a really, really good counter to my Mana Magnet unit. Just straight up erases a Mana Magnet every turn. I think I was gonna Lashing and hope to kill this. It's pretty unlikely though. Need to get 2 on this when they have 3 things in play. Well, we ended up getting all of them there and killing that. This continues to grow. We're behind in terms of the amount of damage we're dealing, though. We just hit them for 3 and they hit us for 6. Pretty sure we're just like Gruesome Legioning 2 turns in a row here. See if they have another Mana Magnet in their face down cards. Ascend is neat. Give a unit 1/1 for each corpse on your board, then erase all the corpses. Now, I don't know the exact ordering. I don't know if this erases this test subject or not this turn. It does. That's unfortunate. And the fact that this erases, but it doesn't leave a corpse behind, means my Prince is a little bit worse than it otherwise would be. The fact that all of their things have such high toughness makes all of our damage-based removal pretty mediocre. Morning, Doug. And like all of these get bigger. probably dead at this point. Yeah, even that doesn't really help. You can tell it's getting ready to snow outside, because so far our games have been very snowbally in this. No good cards that really make test subjects to start here, so I think I'm gonna mulligan. Unfortunate, no test subjects again. I'm gonna hide the Void Curse. It's a good finisher I'd prefer they don't know we have access to. And Lashing's probably our best piece of interaction. I'm gonna play Merciless Beast, he said, remembering it has slow again. This hand's actually really bad. I don't have anything I could proactively play out. I guess I could play Lost Tech Servant, technically. We'll put that in the Mana Magnet slot so it self-enables a little bit. But you woke up to snow this morning. Yeah, we're supposed to get snow flurries in the Midwest where I'm at, too. Where are you at again, Fox? I forget. Yeah, no, I know Chicago, we're supposed to get, like, wintry... Oh, you're in the Chicago area, okay. Yeah, we're supposed to get wintry mix today. Your heat went out last night. Rough. I think I'm gonna try and Lashing to kill both of these. Maybe this is ambitious. Wait. Does this field change every turn? Because this wasn't a 3-4 a second ago, right? I thought the field change was on play, but it just changed this to +1/+1. I must be misunderstanding a mechanic of this card. Yep, yeah, this is Fatal Core Quintimus. It's technically a trading card game. You can trade cards with other people on the game, but you actually can't spend real dollars on it. All of the cards have to be acquired by playing through actual play. Which is another one of the more unique things they're doing. They're electing to monetize their game via... crowdfunding. So they have a Patreon you can support them on if you enjoy the gameplay. Man, none of my plays are great here. I wish we could Gruesome Legion, but this is slow 5 and it's only turn 4. Maybe I just Mind Crush this turn to deal 2 to everything, because that sets up my Gruesome Legion next turn, because the test subjects deal 2. I think that's the play. And this forces redraw 2, so I can shuffle some cards back into their deck. Get rid of their Scatter Shot and their Mystery card. You're about to take a big hit here. Not sure if we're going to be able to catch up here. So we'll go ahead and Gruesome Legion up here, but opponent's got a lot of attack in play. I guess these test subjects are going to get big-ish, and they're going to kill these, hopefully. The fact that these are now soulless means they don't leave corpses behind, though. Yeah, that 7 ball's a big deal, too. Perhaps I should have forced a redraw on that one. Because we're gonna take another big hit here for another 16. I guess the game's only half over. Killing their 9 power thing here is huge. It's very fortunate for us. summon a Gruesome Experiment here. That's the one that wipes out something with Mana Magnet. Rude. So this is going to wipe this out. Okay, this is down to 1 toughness. I think I want to just Scatter Shot here. We have a lot of attack in play, and we could be catching back up here. It could also be right to just play the Void Curse out, because these are going to kill this. I'm just going to play the... Oh, this is 8. Sorry, this is turn 7. It's a slow 8. Oh, I was thinking 7. Okay, that makes the Scatter Shot real easy. Alright, really close game here. How does this game work? So, the base turn structure is each turn, the turns happen simultaneously, and each turn, each player plays 1 card, and a majority of the information is public, so I see most of my opponent's cards and they see most of mine, and you can kind of try and anticipate what you expect your opponent to be doing. Although our opponent has conceded here because we caught back up. A game. They hit us really hard early, but the what's it called? The Gruesome Parade, or whatever that card's called, that made 3 test subjects on 5. Let us take back control of the board. Gruesome Legion, that's the one. I don't have any early test subject creators here, so I think I mulligan this. No early... I guess Gruesome's kind of an early test subject maker. I'm going to hide the Void Curse again. So, you start with 6 cards, and you hide 2 of your starting ones. And your opponent sees the rest of your cards. I'm gonna lead on Bound Siren here. And they led on this. So this has Hunt. So normally units attack your opponent's life total directly each turn, but this has Hunt, which means it attacks their things on board. Once during the game, you get to deploy... Once during the game, you get to deploy one other... Or you get to hide one other card that you're drawing for the turn. Like I just did there. So they're tremoring to kill this. And then my test subject's going to get to finish this off. So these two will both die at end of turn here. You'll note that I deployed this on the bottom row here because I want to keep my top row free of corpses so I can Gruesome Legion up there on 5. just gonna go ahead and Lashing here. Clear this out. They have a Mana Magnet. So steals 6 here, steals 3 here. Shadow Stirrings here. Clear all my corpses out. Clearing out some of their corpses as well. So we're kind of ahead on board there, and we're ahead on life total, which is good. Unlike a lot of games, your life totals are resourced to a degree in this game, but especially once you get into like turn 7, 8, 9, a life total lead at that point in the game tends to be very, very important. It's harder to catch back up from those downsides in this game compared to some other games with 2 players having life totals. Are you about to just like fully trade boards here? Okay, so like now we're kind of at full parity here. I'm gonna go ahead and Gruesome Legion this row down here. So, because they had this card in their hand that eats things that have Mana Magnet, I elected not to deploy it to the top row because I didn't want this to eat one of my test subjects here. Nice, Fox. Congrats. End of turn, give a random test subject or Alchemist Coffin you control resolve 2, which means it heals up. That sounds pretty good. Get her going. The Defiant Wisps are really good here against all my test subjects, because now I didn't get to kill this. What's the star at the bottom of each slot? So that is the stat modifier that the unit you put into that slot gets. Each deck has a lead champion on it, and the lead champion dictates not only what cards appear in your deck, but also what your board modifiers do. Put the Void Curse here, I think. Nice little 7/10. Someone has Haunt for some AoE here, but again, we're at turn 11 now, and they're down 18 points on life, so they're just not going to catch back up. One of the ways this game works is your decks are 18 cards total. You start with 6 and you draw one every turn except the first turn. So you see 17 of your 18 card deck every game. So your decks tend to be consistent in executing their game plan if you can mulligan appropriately. And you can usually expect to see most of your cards each game. At the end of 12 turns, whoever has the higher life total is the tiebreaker. Usually some decks kill people quickly, but usually the games last about 12 turns. Often someone is close to dying at the end of that. There are 6 different lead champions, I believe. if I recall. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see they all have different stat modifiers or ability mechanics. Hey, good games, Chosen. Alright, so I have Alchemist Coffin to start pumping out test subjects right away, so that sounds good. I'm going to hide the Merciless Slashing because it's a powerful piece of interaction I don't want them to know is coming. And I'm going to hide the Void Curse because it's a slow card that I don't want them to know is going to come down on 8 and race them. Leyline Wolf, that card's kind of sweet. The artwork's great too. Yeah, there's a lot of deck building depth to the game, it seems. There's some cards that are neutral, so they can go in any deck, but most cards are assigned. So, like, for example, this card is only a card Prisoner 218 can use. Alchemist Coffin is only available to Prisoner and Hush. I think I'm leading on Coffin. Mana Man, get them right away. You'll notice all of the cards have a number on them as well. That number is their rank. So there's also deck building restrictions that your deck has to have a certain number of cards of each rank in it. So there's 3 S tier, 4 A tier, 5 B tier, 6 C tier. I'm going to hide the Gruesome Legion because that's what I generally don't want them to know is coming. This kills a random opposing creature with 3 HP or less. So I think I want to deploy Lost Tech Servant because she'll die to this. Just going to go ahead and Mind Crush here. I'm going to go ahead and put their Shadow Stirrings back into their deck to try to impact their corpse management. So this deals 2 to all their stuff. And then at the end of turn, this is my only unit, so it's going to kill this by making it smaller. And this has Hunt, so it attacks my thing directly. I think I'm going to go ahead and deploy Lost Tech Servant here. Again, I'm prioritizing playing out on my top row because I want to Gruesome Legion across my entire bottom row here. Did Netrunner ever get a digital adaptation? Not an official one. There's a fan-made digital client, I believe. This IP does have some Netrunner vibes. So 5 versus 8. My test subjects are going to open fire here. I'm going to go ahead and replicate this test subject, shuffle 2 cards back into my deck here. Just go ahead and Shadow Stirrings here. And you can see here that disruption I had earlier where I forced my opponent to shuffle their corpse management back into their deck with the forced redraw, really coming back to bite them, right? Because they don't have a way to clear these corpses out currently. Yeah, test subject is a very good unit. Allows you to control the board and also apply pressure simultaneously. Opponent conceded here. I feel like they need, we need a more in-my-face victory animation. I was kind of reading chat and talking, I didn't notice that it popped up here. Could really, like, use one in the center of the screen. It feels like there's a good range of different archetypes in this game. We've played a bunch of the different characters over the last few. So like we're playing Prisoner 218 today. We've played a Malvidia deck, a Joanne deck, and a Hush deck, and they all felt very reasonable. I think I'm just gonna keep working our way through one of each of the characters each day. We're doing 2 more Fatal Core streams on Thursday and Friday at the end. Correct, Decker. In addition to promoting the game a little bit too, I think they're looking for feedback on the interface and stuff like that. Like, for example, the mouse over keywords inside the actual client. Like, the first time we played like a week and a half ago, where like these could really use keyword notifications in client to remind you what stuff does. And like, they added it before we streamed the second time, which was sweet. I don't have any test subject making to start here, but I do have a Callous Mage. I'm gonna mulligan looking for something to make test subjects to start. Gruesome Experiment qualifies. I'm gonna hide the Gruesome Legion so they don't know that's coming. I think I'm gonna hide the Shadow Stirrings too. Hiding your corpse management has value too, because it makes your opponent like not quite know how interactive you're gonna be or how well you're gonna be able to adapt your board. I think we lead on Bound Siren here. Yeah, and unlike some of like the large projects that you see out there, like I'm definitely way more forgiving of like rough edges in a fan-made passion project like this, especially one that's just like a labor of love. Like it's very obviously people making software because they love doing it, and their core gameplay loop is super reasonable. It's very unique. A lot of card games are like have some derivatives or like direct parallels to other things like Magic. Like Hearthstone, Runeterra, and Magic like all have a lot of parallels to each other, and this game doesn't really have good direct comparisons to any of those. It's very unique in a lot of the executions of what it does. Alright, so this is gonna eat this turn most likely. I might just Scattershot here, actually. Or maybe we Gruesome Experiment. I'm gonna Gruesome Experiment. Nice, so we nailed that before it could make another Defiant Spirit. If we're lucky, this will kill this here at end of turn. Or a coin flip here. Nice! Hashtag sometimes lucky, chat. I am going to hide the Void Curse. Really love hiding our slow cards. The opponent doesn't know. Because there's not a resource system in this game, the slow mechanic is like the closest thing to a resource system. And hiding your more powerful plays that come down later tends to be very good, in my experience. None of my plays are super exciting here. I think I'm just scattershotting. They're scattershotting too, sure. I'm gonna go ahead and deploy the Prince here, because it'll interact with whatever they put down on board. He does 2 damage at random for each corpse you have in play at end of turn. Hopefully they deploy, like, Expert Spell Thief here, and we get to gobble it up. So my opponent notably does not have any empty board spaces here. So normally we'd be worried about Mana Magnet off the Spell Thief when we're deploying this Legion, but we know my opponent can't deploy this because all these corpse spaces. And then this will die to test subjects here. And then we have a Mana Magnet here, so they can't really clear out their board at all. I think I'll just Shadow Strings, just add more pressure to my board. Is that true? It means the Prince no longer works. Do I need the Prince, though? I have the test subjects. I probably don't need the Prince. I'm just going to add more attack to the board. And then I think this is like the point of the game where Prisoner 218 earns her name. Like, my opponent needs a spell to catch back up, and I'm just going to keep deploying things in this Mana Magnet spot. So they just, like, never get to have their spells work. And while their spells don't work, we sit here and beat them down. Although this is soulless, that doesn't work with the Mana Magnet. That's fine, though. Anything too useful here? Yeah, opponent backs it in. I have mixed feelings about the design on 218. I guess the games are quick, so if you, like, lock your opponent out 2/3 of the way in, you don't sit there that long, at least. It's not like a game of Magic where you, like, wait forever to actually die. So I have Gruesome Legion to deploy on 5, but I don't have anything leading up into it that's really proactive. I guess I have Callous Mage, kinda counts. Let's try this. This hand might be a mulligan, though. Gonna try and keep my opponent's board clear here. So the awkward part about this is that it stops working its each turn if I deploy another unit to the board. Yeah, for sure, man. Wheels. I think it's more a question of like, what do you want Control to be? Because like this is definitely like a prison deck, basically. Okay, that's not bad. So again, I want to get set up to Gruesome Legion across the bottom here. So I think I'm deploying Bound Siren to this middle slot up here. And then next turn we'll spread across the bottom. I don't want to replicate because replicates assigns the test subjects randomly and they could fill in down here. And if I don't have a fully open row, I lose value on the Gruesome Legion. I'm gonna hide that one. Those are spirits with mana magnet. That's something. Took 13 there. Really unfortunate that none of our test subjects were able to kill their stuff there. I think we just scattershot. We want to try and get their board in check. Okay. Hopefully this kills this if we're lucky. Okay, nailed it. This only has 2 attack and this has 3. Speaking of the overlay in the middle, it looks like we might have got hung here a little bit. I think I just Stirrings to clear out board spaces. Oh wait, this is gonna mana magnet me. Alright, I'm gonna Mind Crush. I'm gonna force redraw on 2 of their hidden cards here. Okay, so my whole board is dead now. But I get to full Stirrings, which is nice. So they hit for 11, we hit for 15. Catching up a little bit here. I think we just go ahead and deploy the Void Cursed here. We did 22, they did 14, so we technically have them dead. We technically have them dead on board. They have an Incendiary Stream though. So blow through our top row. Yeah, I think we're gonna die here. I don't have any interaction I can play out. just have to skip a stream our top of our board here, I assume. And then we'll die. Yep. Close. Almost got back in there. Alright, let's do one more with Prisoner 218 before we call it a day, huh? No starting test subject generation. So this is a mulligan. We got a gruesome experiments, not terrible. We got a Legion for later. Again, I like hiding Legion and Void Curse when we open with those. I'm gonna open on Lost Tech Savant. She makes herself bigger every turn if we have a mana magnet. She can be her own mana magnet there. And then this is mana magnet as well, so I think I'm going to go ahead and just play a spell here to burn their mana magnet up. Again, since I started deploying on my top row, Gruesome Legion wants a full row open, so I'm gonna keep deploying up top. Yeah, all the bishops. This is an indie game called Fatal Court that's currently in open beta. It's accessible in your web browser at fatalcoretcg.com. So again, the Gruesome Legion is slow 5, so I can't play it till turn 5. Nice, that's great. I think that sounds good too. I'm just gonna go ahead and play this for the turn, and then next turn we'll get to Gruesome Legion. Just does one at random 6 times, so that plus the test subject should really help us clean out the board here. Nice, yep, we got to kill that one. Yeah, the music design's great. So the test subjects again hit something every turn, but they also get smaller every turn. Opponent does not have any mana magnets face up. They could be hiding one here. So this will kill itself from its triggers, but we're still super far ahead on board here. And this has mana magnet, so any spell they could possibly play to catch up is not going to happen. Just deploy this to pump the test subjects up. I expect them to play a spell. Yeah, because they basically need to get through the mana magnet because it's so big. And then at this point, we just enter that control portion of the game where we're just like always deploying things to the mana magnet slot to keep them off their spells. While our test subjects and friends beat them down. Yep. Got him. So just to highlight one other thing too really quick here, because I haven't shown the deck editor yet today. We mentioned it earlier. So this is the 218 deck we've been playing here. And the deck editor really shows how deck construction works. So again, there's 4 classes or rarities of cards, and you have to play a set number of each of those rarities. So every deck in Fatal Core has 3 S tier cards, 4 A tier cards, 5 B tier cards, and 6 C tier cards. So, there are some neutral cards. At the bottom of each card, you'll see either neutral or lead names. And some cards are dual lead. So, for example, Sinister Matron, Prisoner, Hush. The test subject cards specifically are Prisoner and Hush aligned cards. But there's also another good example of Prisoner something else. There's one. Prisoner and Hush overlap a lot of them, looks like. Prisoner had overlap with another champion for some of the cards, but anyways, your lead basically dictates how your deck building works, and past that, if you saw the different spaces on the board, your lead also dictates what modifiers your spaces get, which is neat, and not some of them are just like raw stat modifiers like Jetto and Joanna, and then others like Prisoner, Hush, and Kadir, they have spaces that give your things different abilities when they're placed on them. Hush, for example, has a lot of corpse synergies, so 2 of his spaces literally just make corpses for you every turn, because a lot of your cards get more powerful if you have corpses in play. There's also cards that you can play out that modify different spaces on the board to, like, turn downside spaces into plus side, or turn your opponent's plus side spaces into downside spaces. At any rate, if you want to check out Fatal Core, you can check out their website and play for free there. Like I said, you literally can't spend money on the game. They're completely crowdfunded, so if you enjoy it, you can check out their Patreon, but you have to get all the cards that you get through it through just playing in the client. I will be off tonight. That's going to wrap up our segment for this morning, so I'm taking Monday nights off from Variety stuff. I'll be back tomorrow morning with some more Runeterra. And I'll be back on Thursday afternoon with more Fatal Core. As always, you can find my schedule on my website with not only when I'm going to be live, but what I'm going to be live with when. Thanks everybody for hanging out. If you missed any of this segment, you can find that all up on my YouTube channel in a little bit. Peace, folks.